right, Bears fans, let's dive into the latest news surrounding our Chicago Bears. And there's plenty to unpack. One of the biggest conversations this season has revolved around contract decisions and roster management, especially when it comes to some of the bigger names on the team. Take Dio Dango, for instance. There's been a lot of chatter about whether cutting him or trying to move him via trade makes sense, and the numbers just tell a brutal story. This season, his cap hit is only $8 million, which doesn't sound too bad on paper, but next year, things escalate, and by year 3, if the Bears were to try to cut him, there's still a limited dead cap penalty hanging over the team. If nothing is done with his contract, it jumps to $20.5 million, and that is a massive figure to carry for a player who has struggled to make an impact. Cutting him before June 1st actually increases that number to $22 million, reducing potential savings by $1.5 million, while a post-June 1st move only saves $3 million. Financially, the math doesn't work in favor of a cut. Trading him changes the situation, of course, but who is realistically going to take on Dio Dango's contract, given his production so far? The short answer is probably no one, which means the Bears are stuck hoping he turns things around. Up to this point, his performance as a pass rusher has been underwhelming. That 1 sack in Week 1 looked promising, but it came against a backup tackle, and since then, he has largely disappeared from the pass rush equation. On the positive side, he has been at least a serviceable edge against the run in many games, though there are exceptions like the matchup against Baltimore, where he struggled. Overall, his production doesn't justify the money being paid, and it raises questions about the way contracts are structured for players coming off their rookie deals. Betting on upside with big guaranteed money can backfire, and unfortunately, this is a textbook example. Now, looking beyond Dango, the Bears' depth chart has been a hot topic as well. In short-yardage situations, the team has had significant struggles, which has led fans to ask why players like Britton Brown are not seeing more action. The short-yardage game requires execution, power, and sometimes a bit of creativity, and the Bears have not consistently delivered. DeAndre Swift, while talented, is not a traditional power back, and Kyle Monangai has moments of promise, but is not a full tank at the line. Britton Brown showed flashes in preseason of the ability to push through tackles, but it remains to be seen if he can make a real difference when the team needs a yard or two to extend a drive. Penalties and miscommunication have also compounded these issues, making short yardage efficiency a recurring problem that needs addressing. There is no simple fix, but the coaching staff will have to optimize their play calls and perhaps diversify personnel packages to improve results. These are the subtle details that separate a good team from a great one, and for the Bears, the margin is thin. Turning attention to trade possibilities, questions have arisen about whether DJ or KT might be moved before the trade deadline. Both players carry questions around value, production, and contract costs, and realistically, neither seems likely to move before the deadline. DJ has a significant cap hit, and his performance has not justified a high return in trade value, while KT's health and uncertain value make a move complicated. These types of decisions often happen in the offseason rather than midseason, but nothing can be entirely ruled out. If the front office can make calculated moves to improve the roster depth, particularly at edge rusher or cornerback, it would make sense, yet bold trades midseason are rare unless there is a clear gap to fill. The more realistic approach is targeted roster tweaks rather than blockbuster moves, especially given the salary structure and injury history the team must navigate. In terms of player development, Caleb Caldwell raised an interesting point about Theo, who has been a young and somewhat unpredictable presence on the offensive line. As a second-year undrafted player, he has exceeded some expectations by earning starting opportunities, yet he is not a finished product. His performance as left tackle has been promising but inconsistent, highlighting the difficulty of relying on developing talent in critical positions. The Bears must evaluate whether investing further time in young players like Theo outweighs the potential benefit of exploring veteran options during the offseason. Building continuity along the offensive line is essential, especially when injuries and rotation considerations are factored in, and balancing development with immediate performance remains a delicate task. Draft picks and rookie contributions have been another source of conversation. While some selections, like Carlson Loveland, have shown flashes of potential, they have not yet consistently impacted games in the way fans had hoped. Shamar Turner is already out for the season. AZ Trapill remains a backup, and the team has had to experiment with package plays that don't always succeed. The rookies that do contribute, like Kyle Manungai in certain blocking situations, are beginning to carve out roles. But overall, the draft class has been underwhelming relative to expectations. The challenge for the Bears is translating raw potential into meaningful on-field production while navigating a season filled with injuries and inconsistencies. Each game becomes a test of whether young players can step up and deliver in high-pressure moments. And the coaching staff's ability to integrate these players into effective schemes will define the trajectory for the rest of the year. The ongoing concern over injuries is another layer complicating the season. Ben Johnson's approach in practice has raised questions about the balance between intensity and safety. Under previous regimes, limited practice intensity also led to injuries, suggesting that the issue might extend beyond a single coach or methodology. Chicago has seen a pattern of soft tissue injuries, and addressing these will require careful planning in strength, conditioning, and medical support. Teams must balance physical preparation with recovery protocols to keep players on the field, and the Bears' performance so far suggests this is an area needing continued attention. Injury management, alongside smart personnel deployment, remains critical if the team hopes to be competitive down the stretch. Confidence levels heading into tough matchups, like the upcoming game against the Bengals, reflect the complexity of the situation. The Bears have an opportunity to bounce back, yet facing a road game against a team with strong receivers and decimated defensive backs makes predictions challenging. Mild optimism exists, but it is tempered by the realities of injuries, underperforming units, and the need for rookies and young players to step up. The offense and defense must function cohesively, mistakes must be minimized, and execution needs to improve, particularly in short yardage and high leverage scenarios. This is the kind of scenario where preparation, adaptability, and in-game adjustments can determine outcomes more than raw talent alone. The corners have been decimated by injuries, leaving gaps that opponents have been exploiting consistently. The lack of depth in the back end has forced the Bears into risky situations, sometimes having to rotate younger players into high-pressure matchups before they are ready. For a team that relies on creating turnovers and pressuring the quarterback, having inexperienced corners on the field makes executing the game plan significantly harder. This is precisely why trade discussions for cornerbacks or adding depth through strategic moves are circulating, even if immediate trades seem unlikely. When evaluating the secondary, it is not just about one player or one scheme. It is about creating cohesion among the unit, ensuring that communication is clear and that each player understands their responsibilities under different formations. Mistakes here are magnified, and they often lead directly to points for the opposition. So building reliability, even if incrementally, is crucial. The defensive line continues to be a point of frustration. Dio Dango's struggles are compounded by the inability of the rotation to generate consistent pressure. When the defensive line cannot disrupt the quarterback, it places an added burden on the linebackers and secondary to make plays under pressure. The pass rush is a critical factor for a defense looking to control the game, and right now, the Bears are searching for answers. Some games have shown flashes of potential where players have successfully set the edge or made tackles behind the line, but consistency has been elusive. It is one thing to have moments of brilliance, but in the NFL, repeated success over multiple games is what defines a reliable player. This has been the central issue with several defensive pieces, as inconsistency leaves the coaching staff forced to make tough choices on who sees the field and when. These decisions, in turn, impact rotation and fatigue, creating a cycle that is difficult to break mid-season without significant roster depth or key mid-season acquisitions. Special teams and situational football have also been areas of scrutiny. Third and short and fourth and one scenarios have highlighted inefficiencies, from miscommunications to penalties that stall drives or put the team in unfavorable positions. While players like Britton Brown have potential to contribute in these moments, the team has not consistently executed. The nuances of situational football, knowing when to call a quarterback sneak, when to power the ball with a back, or when to shift formations to gain an advantage, require precision and discipline. When mistakes occur, they can swing momentum, frustrate fans, and add pressure on an already inconsistent offense. Improving execution in these moments is just as important as talent acquisition, because a team that can reliably convert in short-yardage scenarios sustains drives, controls the clock, and limits the burden on the defense. The Bears have the pieces in place, but have yet to optimize these opportunities fully, and the coaching staff is aware that short-yardage efficiency can define a season if addressed properly. Looking at the offense as a whole, development and utilization of young talent remains a focal point. Carlson Loveland, while showing promise in blocking and situational play, has not yet become the dynamic weapon fans expected. The rookie class has moments of contribution, but overall, expectations for immediate impact have not been met. Shamar Turner's injury has left gaps, and AZ Trapill is still being integrated as a rotational player. The coaching staff's challenge is to ensure that these younger players get enough meaningful reps in practice and in games to accelerate their learning curve. This includes developing chemistry with quarterbacks, understanding defensive schemes, and adjusting to the speed of the professional game. The margin for error is slim in the NFL, and young players must adapt quickly, making the developmental approach a balancing act between patience and necessity. The Bears' ability to blend youth with experience will influence both short-term results and long-term stability. One cannot overlook the broader coaching philosophy in play. Balancing intensity in practice with injury prevention has been a recurring discussion point. Ben Johnson's approach, compared to previous regimes, suggests a shift toward more controlled practice, yet injuries persist, highlighting systemic challenges. Strength and conditioning, recovery protocols, and day-to-day monitoring are critical components that can influence availability on game day. In a league where a single missed play can alter outcomes, having healthy players is as much a part of strategy as X's and O's. Coaches are navigating the delicate line between preparing players physically and minimizing the risk of soft tissue or overuse injuries. This becomes particularly significant when developing younger talent, as pushing too hard can set back growth, while under-preparation can leave players ill-equipped for the physical demands of NFL competition. Turning toward trade strategy and roster management, the discussion about potential acquisitions highlights a cautious but pragmatic front office approach. The Bears are likely looking at adding depth rather than making blockbuster moves at this stage. A cornerback or pass rusher who can integrate quickly without disrupting salary structure could be a key target, but options are limited by budget constraints and availability. Trades for higher-profile names, like Chase Young, carry both financial and injury-related risk, making lesser-profile yet reliable players like Alontae Taylor more appealing for immediate improvement. The aim is incremental enhancement rather than dramatic change, reflecting a recognition of the team's current limitations while preparing for sustainable competitiveness. Each move must balance on-field contribution with long-term roster flexibility, and the Bears management appears to be taking that measured approach. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. A storm may be brewing in the Windy City, and it doesn't have anything to do with the weather. Rumors swirling around the Chicago Bears locker room have sent fans and pundits alike into a frenzy after quarterback Caleb Williams reportedly made a bold, almost incendiary statement. "If he comes back, I'm out of the Bears." The cryptic comment has sparked an immediate whirlwind of speculation, leaving insiders scrambling to decipher just who Williams was referring to and what it could mean for the franchise's future. The Bears, known for their storied history and passionate fan base, have been navigating a tense offseason filled with big-name acquisitions and the usual mix of veteran players and rising stars. Williams, whose own star has been ascending rapidly, is considered by many analysts as a cornerstone for the team's offensive plans. His skill set, poise under pressure, and electrifying playstyle have already made him a favorite among Chicago supporters. Yet his latest remarks suggest a potential collision course with someone in the organization whose return could shake the quarterback hierarchy to its core. Speculation is rampant. Could it be a former star quarterback whose legacy still looms large over the team? Or perhaps a high-profile free agent whose arrival might threaten Williams' starting position? Whatever the case, the tension is palpable. Sources close to the locker room hint that Williams' words were not thrown out lightly. There's an unmistakable edge, a hint of genuine frustration that has only fueled the rumor mill further. Agents, scouts, and sports talk shows are already dissecting every possible scenario, from trades to contract negotiations, trying to read between the lines of the young quarterback's bold proclamation. For Bears fans, this revelation is both exciting and nerve-wracking. On one hand, it signals a player willing to stand his ground and assert his importance to the team. On the other, it raises uncomfortable questions about locker room dynamics and what, or who, might be driving a wedge between talent and team unity. As the offseason marches on, one thing is certain. Every move, every signing, and every tweet could hold the key to the future of both Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. And while the front office has yet to respond publicly, the rumor mill shows no signs of slowing down. The city of Chicago may have just found its newest sports soap opera, and the stakes couldn't be higher. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.